you can leave your desires alone. And in fact, it's time to leave your desires alone. If there's something that you've been wanting and it's just not been coming, then you have a habit of thought about it that sometimes you're just not aware of, and it's resistant in nature, and you're thwarting your connection, so you can't really receive that receiving mode. You can't really receive what the next step is. You can't really receive your manifestation. You can't get there from there. And we're saying, when you really step back and you go general, you realize that everything that you want is already 99% completed, but you can't see any evidence of it, and you just have to be okay with that. And not only do you have to be okay with that, you just have to find satisfaction no matter what, because that's the thing, you put everything that you want in the vortex. So what do you think that your job is to now? Sometimes you get stuck in the first step of the creative process, which is asking. You're asking like, I want money, but you're not doing any work. You're not doing any deliberate creation towards allowing what you want, meaning you realize that it's done. I don't need to think about it. You have to realize that you've already created everything. It's all finished. Your creation is done. In fact, you really don't need as much as more contrast than you think you do. You have a lot in your vortex. So you want to spend most of your time doing step 3, going into allowing mode, allowing with feeling good no matter what, feeling good, making yourself doing things that feel good, going into the allowing mode. There are many parts of every subject, every creation. Imagine you're writing a book and you understand that every aspect of the book is already in the vortex. But you also understand that I'm an artist, I'm a writer, so I know I can write that book. I can write that book no problem. The book writing is easy. So then why isn't the book coming together? What's the piece that's hindering everything? What's the stick in my wheel? And so when you really think about it, we would ask you, what's the part of the book that you don't like? That really, that you're just like, yeah, I don't like that part. What is it? And then you think about it and you're like, oh, the people who are going to read it, the audience, I don't know where I'm going to get the audience from. I feel like that's something that I need to worry about, and it shuts down my writing. And so we're saying, see, that's the thing, is that when you feel negative emotion about something, that's your guidance system telling you this is negative. This is not how you're not looking at this in the way that your inner being is. So leave that detail out. Leave the parts out that you don't like. So if you are writing this book, and you're writing this book and you're like, yeah, the writing part is easy, I can write it no problem. But the selling part, so we're like, leave that out of the equation. And someone would be like, well, if I leave that out of the equation, then is it like, what am I supposed to do about that? We're saying you have to accept that you've already created the perfect audience. You've already created everything through the life that you've been living. You put it all in the vortex. So now you don't have to think about it anymore. And in fact, if you think about it and it doesn't feel good, then don't think about it. And get into the allowing mode. Leave the pieces out that you don't like. That's crazy. Leave the pieces out that you don't like. Imagine there's 4 pieces to the subject equation, and one of them just doesn't feel good. If you focus on that one, then every other piece won't feel good. But if you leave that part out, then every piece will feel good. And truly, all you have to do is, when you think about your desire and you feel good, then your point of attraction is one of allowing. You're matching your vibrational alignment with your desire, and it has to come. You don't need patience when you understand that it's all just a natural byproduct, a natural utilization of the laws of the universe. Meaning, you want something, you don't doubt it, you want something, and you don't let the fact that it's not here to bother you. You just want it, you keep pretending it, you keep expecting it, and then it comes, it has to come. And it's always instant. You don't have to take a long time. And we say that there is a gestation period to help you realize that you have resistance on your trail, and you're the one who put it there. But also, you don't really need to be in this, you don't need to be critical of yourself, because that doesn't do anything either. It's more just like, it's almost like let life come at you. You can leave your desires alone. You don't need to do any more work on them. You're complete as you are. Now it's time for you to receive. Now is your time to put yourself in the receptive mode. And we're going to really expand your mind here. We're going to go to the leading edge, which is reality just isn't that great. And we know, like, that sounds like, to human creatures, that's like, then why did I come into this body if reality is not that great? And we're like, well, why do you want vacation? It's the same thing. For the experience, you're literally just here for the experience, and your biggest creation is yourself. You are the biggest creation that the creator will ever create is themselves. So we're saying that your first creation is yourself, and the second creation is the manifestations. But it's almost like you want to get an attitude of like, I feel good, it feels good to feel good, and if good things happen, that's great, but for now I feel good. And so it's like a thing we talked about earlier. You want to leave the pieces out that don't feel good. You want to leave those pieces out. If it doesn't feel good, do not think about it, because you're thinking about it is going to keep badgering it. And that's what's really crazy, is that's the reason why you isn't coming in, because the piece of the equation that doesn't feel good, you keep putting your attention onto it, and then it's like, ooh, like what did you really expect? And so we're like, leave it out. Only activate the things, because that's what deliberate creation is about. Deliberate creation is all about understanding that It's all about like making pathways, thought pathways, carving them out and keeping them very focused, because thing is, like, it's like when you're baking a cake, you don't put everything into the cake. You're very deliberate about what you put in the cake. It's the same thing with your creations. You want to think about the pieces that you're really good at, that feel good to you. And so the real masters are not the ones who take the hardest subjects and try to work the kinks out of them. The masters are the ones who understand that it's all just about connection. I just like into my connection, and when I'm in that flow, then no matter what, then I get to my genius state. Then I can solve everything. So they pick up the easiest subject. They don't take the easy hard subjects. They realize that it's about connection, so they pick up the easiest subject. And then like for example, like trees, walking, anything that's so simple but feels good when you think about it. Like you hop and you go into the vortex. And when you're on those high flying frequencies, it truly is the best thing in the world. You really become so emotionally oriented, because that's what it's all about. It's really about falling in love with a frequency, feeling a frequency, and enjoying the frequency. It's not going for the word, but going for the frequency, finding the feeling of clarity, not the word clarity, finding the feeling of passion, and not what will give you passion, but the feeling of passion, the vibrational essence. Because here's the thing, is that a lot of the times you're satisfied about your desire, but you're not as satisfied, because if you were actually satisfied, then what you want, that's the thing, is that if your desire was as pure as you think it really is, meaning you felt really good about it, then it would be here. The fact that it's not here yet just means that you have more resistance on the trail. And what we're saying, that it's just easier to go to the high flying frequency. It's less work than to go through all of your rummage through all of your thoughts and be like, well, what was the piece that left me out? What was the piece that what was the stick in the wheel? What thought was it? Instead of doing that, it's like, okay, I realized that, whatever, I'm gonna just go into the high flying frequency. And in the high flying frequency, maybe it does come across as boredom, but it's not boredom, because you know what's interesting is that when you think that thinking about your desire means anxiety, it means being worried about it, but it's not like that at all. In fact, if that's how you feel about your desire, no wonder it's not coming. But we said this earlier, but reality isn't interesting. Reality isn't interesting, and that's sort of like the place that this gathering has really come to, which is that reality is not that interesting. It's not as fun. Do you notice that? You want something, and then it's almost like you know, like the week leading up to vacation, you're so excited, you're like, I'm gonna be on the beach, and then you get there and you're like, it's just another physical place. It's another place for me to translate reality, and it's not that it's not slapping hard, but I kind of expected more. Have you ever had that experience? That's because reality, it can't yield you much. If reality was you would think that reality would give you more, considering how hard everyone works towards it. And where we're saying that when you're action oriented, when you're in this reality, when you're in the peanut gallery with everyone else, when you really don't understand that you have a guidance system that's not really telling, because your guidance system is not your emotions are not about the fact that you don't have money. Your emotions are about you, and you really are the creation. Wow, that's interesting. You are the creation, because you don't have to go out there, and you don't have to find harmony with everyone in the room. You just have to find harmony with yourself, with your inner being, with who you really are. Negative emotion teaches you that. Negative emotion is so good, because you cannot get it wrong. And we say you can't get it wrong. It's almost like you have an infinite times amount of tries. You know, it's interesting when people become overnight famous. It's like, damn, that you could have done that, could happen a lot faster, but you just took a lot more time than you needed to get in the vortex, because that's what all matters. It's like how long will it take you to finally get into the vortex, not on that subject, but just in general. And so we really want you to get to the place where reality, you just realize reality is not that great. Reality is also not that interesting, because it's just a translation of reality. But in your head, you can make reality exactly as you want it to be. And so that's kind of what we're saying. That's why we say, like, the journey is really cute. The journey is so fun, because you're going to spend most of your time going somewhere, and by the time you get there, it's fun for 1 second, and then you're like, okay, but now I want something different, because then you have a new platform from which you are asking more things on. You get more clarity, you launch more rockets. So we're saying reality just isn't that great. Don't shortchange yourself. Where you are is where you are, but also where you are can be exactly as fun as it will be when you actually get there. Because even from where you are right now, a lot of the times you're reaching out in the future where so much of your power doesn't really lie. But we're like, just be present and have as much fun as you can, but truly be satisfied, and almost like, don't even talk about, leave the parts out that don't feel good. It's not interesting to leave the parts out that don't feel good. It's like, yeah, I'm satisfied with this daydream and I'm gonna get it. But it's like the getting it kind of like shuts your vibration down, which you don't really want. You want to keep that pathway nice and open and not closed and flowing. And so you really want to realize reality just isn't that great, because life will teach you that reality just isn't that interesting. The feeling is everything. Because you can choose how you want to feel, and everything that you want is literally for feeling, but you can feel that anyways. So it's like, what's the point of reality? That's the thing. What's the point of reality? It's just for fun. It's just for the experience. It's just for waking up every day and wearing clothes and eating food. That's pretty much it. You're already so equipped. You already know so much about what you're doing. You are good to go. You know everything that we know. we're all on the same level here. We're all in this together. So there's really no reason why you shouldn't be getting what you want. There's really no reason why everything shouldn't be gushing into your experience. There's no reason why you shouldn't be having the overnight fame. You shouldn't be having the increase in your drastic increase in your finances. People will look at your life and they will be like, what? But for you, it'll just be natural because it was leading up to it. It was always bite size. We're telling you, you know all this. Life should be different for you. You should be having everything that you want. And if you're not having everything that you want, it's because you're just, you know what's interesting is that you're just looking at what it is. You're looking at reality. But it's like when you really, because here's the thing is that when you become very reality oriented, then you're so used to looking at like, well, where is it? You gauge the timing. You're like, oh, it kind of took this is taking a longer time than it needs to. You become very obsessed with the timing of everything. But we're like, timing is always instant. That's the thing is that when you align your energy, timing is always instant. That's what's so interesting is that when you're truly in the allowing mode and the absence of it doesn't matter, then it has to come because then you're not offering a resistance. And if it's not coming, if you know all this and it's what you want, it still isn't coming, then like there's only one answer, which is you're practicing the absence of it. You're more aware of the absence of it. You're more aware of the fact that it's not here yet. And so it's like it kind of will make you crazy when you try to be very like diligent about what your thoughts and you try to control your thoughts. And we're like, it's too much moving parts. It's not fun. It's not cute. It's not it. But truly, like you just have to control how you feel. Because you have to realize that you literally have negative emotion, and negative emotion is never a bad thing. Negative emotion is a really good thing actually, because it's literally telling you what to think. It's literally telling you tune this out. And so, how do you approach negative emotion? How do you approach negative emotion when you have negative emotion? What do? Do you just yield to it? Do you just make peace with it, or what? Like, what do you do? What do you actually do about negative emotion? And the only answer is only you will know, because if you can catch it early enough, meaning you catch it before the next 17 seconds can really happen, then. And there's not enough momentum, then you can just shrug it off. You basically could shrug it off, and that's kind of like it's that conversation of just leave the parts that you don't like. It's like it's like your guide's telling you like you have resistance here, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna leave that part out. And so you really, isn't that interesting? You have so much assistance with these pathways because you have this guidance system, and so you can't get it wrong. And reality just isn't that great, and you're doing so good. So continue on. Don't get impatient. Be satisfied because you know everything. You know more than most. You're on top of the world. You're in the vortex right now. You're feeling clear. You're feeling passion, and just keep enjoying what you enjoy. That's what's so crazy is that you really don't have to do things that you don't want to do. You don't have to worry about all the pieces. You don't have to worry about how you're gonna figure everything out. It's that if you just focus on what you like, if you focus on the parts that you do like, everything has to come into alignment because you've already created this amazing reality for yourself. So now allow it.